Go straight across to our guest. In the land of their origin, a law punishes Hindus. It is legal or is it not legal? Let me fundamentally set this up, viewers, by getting two people first into the debate. Dr. Anand Ranganathan is here with us, and so is, of course, the spokesperson of the AIMIM, who's also a lawyer, very well-known lawyer, Waris Pathan. Let me first begin with you, Dr. Ranganathan, because you've written about this even in your book. Now, why do you believe that the case to have this law scrapped is robust, is strong, and should be upheld?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. To put it in one sentence, an act like this can only exist in a dictatorial banana republic. So we have to decide, are we living in a dictatorial banana republic? And if we are not, then there is absolutely no reason and justification for this act to exist. I say this for three reasons. Number one, it is not about the verdict that may ultimately come in the way of the Hindus or any other party, Hindu or Muslim party. This act denies the fundamental right of a citizen to even approach the courts for justice. This is so bizarre, it's so unbelievable that I repeat, it can only happen in a banana republic. And the fact that the Honorable Supreme Court has ratified this act in its 2019 Ayodhya judgment, in my view, I might be in the danger of being in contempt of court yet again, but in my view, it speaks volumes about the way we treat the dispensation of justice in our country. How can, leave alone Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Buddhists, anyone, irrespective of the religious denomination, be denied the fundamental right to seek justice? Yes, he or she may not get justice at the end of the day, or it might be delayed, as is the case in more often than not. Yes, the justice might not be liked. The verdict might not be liked by the party, but at least the party has a right to approach the judge. Now that is being denied by this draconian, barbaric act. Number two, and I have repeated this before, I've even said this in my book, Rahul, this is not a Hindu-Muslim issue at all. I am a Darwinian atheist, and I've said this. If Waris Pathan Saab, my Muslim brother, who's very dear to me, if he were to, for example, fight for a masjid that was demolished by a Hindu king and a temple built over it, and he was to approach a court to reclaim that masjid so that he could worship there, I would side with him and go to the court. I do not see this as a Hindu issue at all. This is a civilizational civilizational issue for every Indian, including Waris Pathan Saab, whose ancestors were Hindus like me. So I am civilizationally a Hindu as much as Waris Pathan Saab is. Unfortunately, because of our religious dispensations, we are, as Naipaul said famously in Beyond Belief and Among the Believers, we are, or a huge community is supposed to look westwards and not towards the civilizational heritage of India. Point number three, this has been the fact, and I just narrate this fact. You can see the part demolished temple, unlike in the case of Babri Masjid, where you needed an ASI to actually do rigorous scientific analysis and find out that yes, and as agreed by the Supreme Court, that there was a massive temple of Hindu origin beneath the Babri Mosque. This was agreed to by the Supreme Court. Also, after the digging started to make the Ram Mandir, they found out so many artifacts, broken idols of the previous temple that was there, existed before the Babri Masjid was built on top of it. In this case, you can see the temple. Not only that, how ironical it is, Rahul, I'll just take 30 seconds, that the very people who accuse the Hindus of violating or going to violate the Place of Worship Act have already violated the Place of Worship Act against Hindus. And I'll explain that why. Because before 1993, Hindus were constantly doing their worship of Ma Gauri there. After 1993, the Mulayam Singh government restricted them to once a year after 1993. There is the Vyas Parivar Tehkana, where Vyas Parivar has been worshipping for centuries. They were prohibited in 1993 under gross violation of Place of Worship Act that says you cannot change the religious character of a place after August 15, 1947. The sacred people tree inside The compound where the Gyanvapi mosque now is was chopped off. The Ganesh idols were removed. The Hanuman idols were removed. Three small shivlings were removed. Is that not changing the religious character of the place? So, by all accounts, by three reasons I've given you, just three, the fact remains that A, this barbaric act must go, must be abrogated, must be repealed, and the Muslims must realize that this is the most sacred place for the Hindus. If I ask a simple question, if the most sacred place of Muslims was denigrated thus, demolished thus, and a Hindu temple built over it, would not the Muslims, would not my dear friend and brother Waris Pathan Saab at least have the right or seek the right to approach the judge? That's a simple question.
Waris Bhai, I think Dr. Ranganathan has at least set up why this particular act needs to go. He's given you 3 or 4 points, and he's also very categorically said this is not about Hindus and Muslims, this is a point of principle, it's a point of order. If we see ourselves as a secular republic, we can't have aberrations such as this that discriminates against one group of citizens against the other. So, Waris Bhai, what is the reason why you think that this particular law should remain on the books despite all these objections and these challenges and these questions that are being raised?
Well, my good friend Anand Ranganathan just now made his points. He spoke about 3-4 points. He said the Places of Worship Act is a draconian act and it should be abolished, and it is not about the Hindus and Muslims, but it is about the principles. Very well, right, principles. Why was the Places of Worship Act 1991 made at that relevant time? To ensure and to see that whichever structures, monuments, places of worship are their existence prior to 15 August 1947, you cannot change the nature and character of that place. And the intention was to ensure that the communal harmony remains in the country, hatred does not spread, and because what had happened during the Babri Masjid, you, me, everybody has watched. Now let me remind my learned friend Anand Ranganathan that during the Babri case also the Supreme Court has unanimously held that there is no evidence that a temple was destroyed and a masjid was built in place of the temple. Secondly, the order was passed on the basis of faith, on all basis of evidence. Because at that relevant time also they said we have no evidence to show or to connect that some murtis prakat ho gayi thi wahan par. So it was unanimous decision, but under Article 142 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court has a right to pass an order. They gave a judgment. We lost our Babri. Now my second moot point and question is that why do you want to have a survey for Kashi or for that purpose the Shahi Idgah? Why? Because the present situation is that as per the Places of Worship Act, that both the places are mosques. In the Gyanvapi place, prayers were offered, namaz were offered. Not only that, the courts, just recently they have also directed that allow them to pray and also make provisions for wuzu khana, because they had taken order for this that the wuzu khana should not be used, and now it is barricaded. So in that scenario they have also ordered, but they want to go further. The Shahi Idgah now they have brought up, very well knowing the fact, my friend Anand and Rahul, that in the year 1968, a settlement was already entered in between the Shahi Idgah Trust as well as the Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust, and the courts have decided. It was before the courts, and the courts have held that yes, this is your part, this is your part, knowing very well knowing that. But they want to open the Pandora's box. They want the country to be taken back to the Babri era, and that is why they want to conduct a survey. What is the intention of conducting the survey? And Rahul, I respectfully disagree with the order passed by the court for the survey of Kashi or for this, because it is total violation of the Places of Worship 1991, which clearly states that you cannot do that. But now, after the survey, what will happen? Again, a hatred will be created. Again, they will come out with some proof, evidence that no, there was a temple which was destroyed. No, sir, everything was taken into consideration when the Act 1991 was made. These things to ensure that such things don't erupt in our country, hatred does not spread, common rights does not take place, and that is what dictator happened. And I am sure during the Babri Masjid verdict, had the Babri Masjid been not demolished, had it not been martyred, I am sure the Supreme Court judgment would have been very, very different. And my friend Anand Ranganathan knows this very well. Because the Congress era, you said, open the lock, tala aapne khol diya, then you said the murti prakat ho gayi, then the Supreme Court, you filed an affidavit. And after filing the affidavit, you on the 6th of December 1994 demolished it. This was nothing but betraying. This was nothing but you just did not even follow the Supreme Court. You did not even take care of the affidavit. So we don't want to lose any of our mosque because we have already lost one. And as per my religion, my belief, once a masjid, always a masjid. एक बार मस्जिद कायम हो गई ता कयामत तक मस्जिद ही रहेगी. This is what. So
But
if
sir,
100 from Anand
but sir,
Ranganathan feels
one
that
second.
principle की
Viewers,
बात है,
a
तो
masjid
आनंद भाई principle says that
yes,
in present
yes.
situation
I'll
that
just
the
bring
mosque
you
is
in.
there, let it remain a mosque.
you.
Okay,
This is
but-
as per the principle.
But you
sake
know
of-
the principle. Yes, yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, for the sake of my elder brother Waris Pathan Sahab, I must come in because it is a fact that every extra minute he spends on this debate, he loses clients because his clients are watching this and next time they will say to the court, they'll go to the judge and say, my lord, मैंने देख लिया अपने lawyer को लड़ते हुए, मैं अपने आप अपने case को defend कर लूंगा. Did you see the speciousness with which my elder brother Pathan Sahab talked that the agreement has already been reached in Mathura? My God, does he not even know? And you know, the slip of tongue, it was not a Freudian slip. It was decidedly un-Freudian when he talked about the
1968.
Krishna Bhumi. Pathan Sahab, I didn't interrupt you. When he talked about the Krishna Janambhumi Trust having reached an agreement, sorry, the Krishna Janambhumi Sansthan reached an agreement, but the sale deed is with the trust.
Yes.
So you are totally wrong. The people who do not have the property papers,
No,
they reached an
no.
agreement
You are,
with the Eidgah Trust,
you
which is
are,
totally
you
illegal.
are lying,
So
my
please
brother.
get
You
the
are
facts
lying.
right.
One second.
For
The
the sake
agreement
of
at
your
that
clients.
relevant time, those who were in
Okay,
possession,
gentlemen, one
the
second.
premises, they have entered into an agreement. Nobody can just
One
go
second,
there,
one
enter
second.
into
Gentlemen,
a settlement
gentlemen,
agreement before
gentlemen.
the court, and after 50 years, you are
Pathan
suddenly
Sahab,
wake up
let me
and
bring
you say
in
that no, we are,
Ishkaran Bhandari
they were
and-
not responsible. We are the
Okay,
expert
Rahman
person.
Sahab and
After
Bhandari
50
Sahab are
years,
both
you cannot
waiting.
just wake up
Okay,
and
one
just go
second,
and
one
claim
second.
that,
You
sir,
see, viewers.
what, since 1968
Okay, one
till
second,
2020, you are just
one
sleeping.
second. Why are we going into the weeds of the title of a particular place of worship? I'm not on that point. I'm talking about the Places of Worship Act, which is creating a distortion, a legal distortion.